Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com. Today, I'm here to talk about superhero stuff on the silver and small screen. And with me to talk about these things is a very old friend who was big in my life in terms of the comics we read and just our experiences. He's my oldest friend, and I don't mean by that he's older than me, but he's the friend that I've known the longest in my life, and I'm very pleased and honored to have him here on the show. Greg, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And just so everybody knows, I want to get this out there. Greg has his own business, and that is
It's toxiccotton.com, www.toxiccotton.com. It's clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, that kind of thing. It's basically just my own kind of artistic vision. It's kind of comic geek meets heavy metal.
And there you go. That's a great line. Is that on the website? Do you have that on the website?
No, I don't have it on the website. It's just what I'm into. I've always been a huge rock fan and comic fan, that kind of thing. So, you can go to the Facebook and there's always the toxic tune of the day where I put up a song, sometime, for the most part, it's off of YouTube or Vivo or those kind of things. So you can watch a video or whatever. But we have the Way Back Wednesday, which is, the old school stuff, and then a lot of modern stuff, maybe bands that a lot of people haven't heard of. I'll spend hours picking out music and some of it's popular, some of it's not, but it's all rock oriented. I think that rock is it's not as mainstream as it used to be, and that's a shame. So I'm trying to keep the flag flying, basically.
And I have to admit, Greg, a lot of those songs that you pick for the Toxic Tune of the Day, I don't know those artists either, and so it's nice to be exposed to those things.
Oh, thanks. It takes a long time to find all these things.
I wondered how long it took you to pick all that stuff out. I there for a while I thought, Greg's just familiar with these things, but you do that every day, and it's like he really likes his music.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. It's just been a huge influence in my life. Lots and lots of concerts when I was younger. Not as much time now or as much money, but disposable money anyway. So yeah, there's nothing that gets me in a better mood than a good song. So anything that I put up is a song that I actually like. I won't just go, oh, what's cool, and put it up. It's got to be something that I actually enjoy the tune, but it's always rock oriented, and I like lots of different types of music. But it just wouldn't fit the vibe of what Toxic Cotton is about, and so it's always got a little bit of an edge to it.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, I have a shirt from Greg from Toxic Cotton, and very comfortable. I love the I can't remember what you call that design. It's the yellow one, the drip.
Yeah, Toxic Drip.
Okay, yeah, I love that design. So
no, the shirts are really comfy. They're really
they are.
I make sure that they're nice and soft. I've been working with some different people on picking the right stuff, and so far it's been great. I've been making sales all over the U.S., Canada, and all kinds of places. So
excellent. Yeah, superhero geeks like me. I don't know if you want to count yourself among that group, Greg, but
sure.
You used to be. Now I don't know if you still want to do. But we have a lot of superhero T-shirts. At least I do. Probably way too many. But I love them.
Lately.
So what's that?
I've gotten more lately.
Yeah, good. But we can't just wear superhero T-shirts all the time. At least that's what my wife tells me. But we can also wear, some really cool design stuff that's not superhero per se, but it still looks really cool, and that's where you can get some stuff from Toxic Cotton. So everybody should head over there, check it out, and buy some things from Greg. But you mentioned, Greg earlier mentioned music, being something you're very interested in, and comics were that for you back when you were younger, and still are to a certain degree. But when we were kids growing up, we read a lot of comics.
Oh, well, yeah, that was where all my money went.
Well, that and the video games that I used to watch you play for hours.
Oh yeah, well, arcades, stand-up versions back when you
Yeah,
had,
yeah,
pump a quarter into it, back when they cost a quarter.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, I spent a lot of my time watching you play those games because I couldn't. I didn't have a lot of money. All my money went to comics, and that was it. So I didn't have a lot of money to play video games. So, but I enjoyed watching you. Um, play. Oh gosh, what was the Joust? And that was one I
Oh yeah,
remember
yeah.
specifically for some reason.
Oh yeah, and Star Wars, man, the classic
Oh yeah.
wireframe Star Wars, and
Hmm.
all the classic stand-up arcade stuff. I used to spend lots of ridiculous amounts of time and money in, in arcade.
Yeah. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, Greg and I have known each other since the fourth grade, and I think we both knew at that time. Correct me if I'm wrong. My memory's getting bad as the older I get, but I think we pretty much knew from the get-go that we both loved comics and superheroes, and would read each other's comics and did that for many years.
Oh yeah, my older brother got me into it. He's a big collector. He actually had all the original, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Fantastic Four, Marvel Team Up. Those were his main bread and butter. He's a huge Spider-Man fan, and so I grew up. He's 13 years older than I am, so he really, used to let me, with supervision, of course, read his comics and make sure that I wouldn't mess him up. But that's how we got started. And then he'd go with me. Back then it was spinner racks, and you can go to the supermarket and pick up some stuff, and he would advise me on what the cool stuff was, and then I started to kind of branch out a little bit, get my own thing, and get my own taste and whatnot. But
Hey,
yeah, loved
Greg,
them.
spinner racks? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Does anybody know what a spinner rack is?
I think maybe some of the younger listeners may not. I mean, they've obviously, I think they know the term, but I don't know if they've actually seen any, because those have not been around for a long time. Not to mention just being able to buy comics in a grocery store, which is
Yeah.
actually how I started buying my comics. This is before comic shops came into being.
Yeah.
So they have all these comics. Some, they had several issues of each because I don't know how it worked. They whoever ordered those things, they ordered a bunch of them. I'm sure that it was some poor guy that was getting paid less than minimum wage to throw those books out there, and I don't know what they did with them. But anyway, it was always great to go in there and just kind of flip through the books really quick to find out what they had, and sometimes you got lucky and found some really cool things.
Yeah, but what a cool job to be that guy, right?
Well, yeah, that would have been nice. I think I actually at one point decided I was going to try and get a job at a supermarket just so I could do that job.
How naive we were,
I
right?
know. Yes.
Well, those of you who, you young kids, whatever, spinner racks, they're big metal carrying cases that spin around on a pole that hold comic books. That's what a spinner rack is.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we love comics. We love superheroes. And remember, Greg, I'm sure I don't remember any specific conversations, but I know we had these conversations. How cool it would be if they could make a movie out of Batman or Spider-Man or Superman or the Justice League.
Oh yeah.
Now back then, and so this just to orient people. This was back in the early '80s, going on from there. So there were superhero movies around that time, but they were awful.
Yeah, even oh my God, do you remember that Captain America TV thing
Oh God, yeah. Not
with
just the
that?
one they had a couple of those.
Yeah, they had what, foam ears on the outside,
Oh,
and
that's right. Yeah.
and the helmet and the clear shield on for the windshield of the bike. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and then you also had the Spider-Man TV series, where the guy he had the web shooters on the outside as like a wristband thing, and he'd shoot this kind of it was this rope, and,
Yeah.
and the horrible cuts to show, how he did that, and then show him scaling up the wall. But of course, you're looking back on it, especially with today's technology and everything that they can do with special effects. Back then, it was super cool to see
Oh,
Spider-Man crawl up the side of a building.
well, yeah. I mean, anything, just anything that had that kind of subject matter, I was all over. And that same Spider-Man, the eyes, he looked like he was looking through a shower drain.
That's
You
right.
remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've watched it. Actually, you can Netflix some of the stuff, and I've actually
Oh, is it
gotten.
on Netflix?
Oh, yeah, you can on the download. I'll get I've got a queue full of just all that old stuff, and I'll go back and review it. Even the old '60s Spider-Man cartoons and that kind of stuff, and I'll look at it, and it's horrible, it's horrific. But back then, it was amazing.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, yeah, just like the Super Friends, back then that was the bomb.
sure. Does anybody say the bomb
I
anymore?
know. I know. I was gonna say another word, but I'm trying to keep it clean. So
Oh, okay. We're going for that PG rating.
that's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. I don't want to get in trouble with the iTunes folks if somebody reports me for not having posted the explicit tag. So
Oh, geez.
anyway, yes, I will try not to throw out bad and old slang from here on out.
I'll throw out the cuss words then for you. All right.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, over the years we've seen a lot of good or bad, however you want to look at it, superhero depictions on film. But today we're going to be talking about some more recent stuff. Primarily, well, at least at first, the Avengers movie. Now that's been out for a while now, but because of various technical difficulties and just our own schedules, we haven't been able to talk about it until now. In fact, Mr. Oddfellow was supposed to join us for this, but he was unable to do so. But we're going to talk about Avengers. We're going to talk about some of the other superhero movies coming out, and also talk about some things that are on the small screen that's superhero related. So, and that's why we're here. So let's get right to it, Greg. So the
All right.
Avengers, stinky movie, right?
Oh, yeah, it sucked.
Why would anybody go see that movie?
This movie was awesome.
Awesome! It's awesome with some awesome sauce on it.
It really it exceeded my expectations. I was wary of the whole thing, just thinking of some of the other hero movies that have tried to combine too many characters in one show, and everybody got lost, and it just was, just was horrible. But this was, I mean, not saying it was perfect. There's some things, but it was incredible. I gotta say, hands down, for me, the best superhero experience movie-wise that I've ever seen.
Even more so than the Dark Knight.
It's different. It's apples and oranges for me, I think.
Yeah.
This.
And I only bring that up because I know a lot of people. So coming up on the Avengers release date, a lot of speculation about how, not only about how good the movie will be itself, but also kind of comparing it to the Dark Knight in terms of sales and just popularity, I guess, because the Dark Knight, as you know, was a huge hit. Not just for people like us who love superheroes, but quote unquote the average moviegoer.
Oh yeah, it crossed over big time. But I'm a big fan of dark and evil. Anything dark and evil is my deal. I mean, since I was a kid, started drawing and whatnot, I would much rather draw that evil creature crawling out of the pit than something sunshiny and sweet. So
I'm just trying to imagine you drawing something sunshiny and sweet. That's
well, it didn't happen. That's why it's tough to imagine. But so the Joker, completely, right up my alley. Fantastic job all the way around. The dark atmosphere, the whole the whole evil kind of feel to the whole thing. Two-Face, amazing. But that being said, this just felt even more for lack of a better word, epic. It was overwhelming how huge this thing was.
Are you talking about in terms of what the actual movie is, or are you talking about I guess the reaction to the movie, or both?
No, I'm talking about the movie. I mean, the reaction, it's more palatable to a larger audience because it is PG-13. It's, you don't have guys shoving pencils through people's heads and whatnot, like in, the Dark Knight. But there were a lot of kind of goosebumpy moments for me. When the helicarrier took off, I gotta say, dude, goose flesh.
Yeah, and the same with me is like, you know that the helicarrier is going to be in there, right? It's because Nick Fury's there and Shield and all that stuff, that we've gotten from since the first Iron Man movie, through through Thor and Captain America, all that stuff. So you knew that was coming. It's like, well, how are they going to do it? How well are they going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was like that was just awesome. So I just want to run down a few facts about the Avengers here. So it was released when? May 4th here in the States. Although it was released overseas earlier, almost a month earlier. It is known as officially Marvel's The Avengers here, but it's known as Marvel Avengers Assemble in the UK and Ireland, because they have that whole, I presume anyway, they have that whole Avengers show.
Right.
The spy show.
Yep.
So I guess that's why they did it. I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. It's directed by and screenplay by Joss Whedon. And those of us who know Joss Whedon's work, I knew that this was going to be phenomenal anyway. But I was really, really hoping that everybody else would love the film as much as I knew I was going to. Of course, there was always that chance that it would be a crap fest anyway, regardless of Joss's involvement. Not everything he touches is golden, but I knew what?
Like?
Not you mean what something that Joss has done that's not golden?
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, Dollhouse wasn't all that great.
Yeah, but you watched the whole series. Didn't
I
you?
certainly did. It's Joss Whedon, of course I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the guy who did Buffy, Angel, and Firefly, in my mind, he can pretty much do no wrong, and of course until he does. But and Dr. Horrible, all those things. Dollhouse, not so great, but still an interesting look at that particular subject matter. And so anyway, so he directed this. He wrote the screenplay. Zach Penn also has story credit. I had to look him up because I didn't, I thought I recognized the name, but I realized I was thinking of somebody else. But he also co-wrote the script for X-Men: The Last Stand, which is interesting because of the three X-Men films, I thought that was the worst one and should never have been made, as far as I'm concerned. But
I would give you it's the worst one, but there's still, I'm a big X-Men fan. So it's kind of like you with Dollhouse. It had X-Men, so I'm watching it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I loved. I don't want to get too far off of the Avengers, but I loved I love seeing additional characters. I love seeing, even if they're just cameos, even if it's just a small little poof. Oh wow, that guy. And I love being able to, recognize. Oh, it was that character. Even if they're sitting in a classroom, whatever. I love that about those kind of shows, and that having all the what in the comics were the Morlocks be involved in that. Callisto and some other people kind of running around. It was cool for me to see them brought to life.
Mm-hmm. Oh sure, I would not disagree with that whatsoever. I'm just thinking in terms of the overall story. It seemed to suffer. I think mostly from the lack of having who was the director for the first two X-Men films?
Singer.
Yeah, Bryan Singer, right? Yeah, he wasn't on that third one, so.
No, he was doing Superman.
Yes, and we all know how good that was.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh my God, that was such a disappointment. Anyway,
Yeah, not a good choice.
oh my God. But we'll touch
Neither.
on Superman a little bit later.
Okay.
Um, so so yeah, I thought Joss Whedon did an excellent job here, and as far as I'm concerned, this guy should be basically the studio should be lining up with blank checks in their hands and saying, "Will you please do my next movie?"
If it's superhero oriented, I agree. I agree.
Well, I did read a report, and I haven't kept up on all the news that's Avengers related up to this point, because now we're over a month after the premiere. But I think I remember reading something in the last 2 weeks where Joss Whedon is saying that he may not be directing the next one.
That's a crime.
But we'll see. I think it has a lot more to do with timing and everything else he's doing. But I throw enough money at him, I would think maybe he would want to do that. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. I just read that and I thought that was interesting. Like you said, it would be too bad that if he did not do the sequel, which of course since it made a few bucks, I'm sure that Marvel Studios will be announcing an Avengers 2 shortly.
Oh, it's already been greenlit.
Yeah,
It's greenlit big time.
Yeah, big time. I would think anyway. Yeah. So speaking of the few bucks it made, almost $1.4 billion this movie has made.
Yeah, incredible, right? In a short period of time.
Oh my God, yeah, 1.4 billion. So that puts it at last I saw, and this was Monday, so maybe things have changed this weekend as we're recording. But it's the third highest grossing film ever globally.
Yep.
It's unseated Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 as the third. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. and has surpassed The Dark Knight in North America to be the number 3 movie of all time.
Yep.
So while we're talking about that, speaking of The Dark Knight, Greg, you and I both went to see The Dark Knight when it came out. This is around my birthday when you were last visiting, and so we got to see that together.
Yes.
And so, given the fact that you and I have both now watched the Avengers twice, and the fact that The Dark Knight Rises comes out very soon, which film do you think will make the most money? Say.
I think the Avengers. I gotta say, I am a huge Batman fan, no doubt. The trailers have not got me very excited. And I know it's going to be incredible. I have no illusion that it's not going to be great because they've got a great hold on the character and the mood of everything, Gotham and how to handle that character. I think Nolan has really just gotten inside the character and done it the way it should have been done. But the trailers are not making me excited. Catwoman, I don't think looks, I don't think it was the right character or the right person to play. I think the costume doesn't look right. Bane, yeah, his story arc was all right in the comics, and it had a big, the whole, breaking the back thing. It was a big deal at the time, but I think there could have been a better character to pick, and I'm not as pumped. I mean, for the Avengers, I was really, really excited for it. Seeing the trailers, I was excited for it. And I've been watching every little Batman trailer that's come out. The most excited I've been is that initial one when the whole city crumbles and it reveals the form of the bat. That was more exciting for me than what I've seen in the actual film stuff so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing that I'm betting the Avengers makes more money. But I mean, it's not, it shouldn't be a contest between, a Marvel movie and a DC movie or these particular characters or anything. It's just I was so excited to see mostly that Joss Whedon was doing the Avengers, and the fact that you get all these Avengers characters, these characters in the Avengers movie.
Oh yeah.
Add to the fact that this has been building up since Iron Man, and you get this in each movie, each succeeding movie, you get a little bit more of pointing to the Avengers, and the Avengers finally coming out. So it's this culmination over several years and a few movies into this thing. Whereas, Batman is just Batman. You've had two really good movies. Well, I get some crap from some people because I don't think The Dark Knight was all that great. It was a good film. I enjoyed it, but I was kind of disappointed in it. But you had at least the Batman Begins. I thought was a really excellent movie and a really good take on that character. And so we get this continuation there over 3 movies. But it's not, to me, it's not quite the same. But then again, Batman is probably the most well-known superhero in the world. So maybe
Superman.
Well, yeah, but I mean in terms of like movies, people being exposed to the movies. I guess you have the Superman movies from the 70s and 80s, but anyway, more recently, I think Batman is probably more recognizable, and it was done under such great direction by Chris Nolan. So they've done a really good job. I don't want people to think I'm just dumping on Batman because if anybody who listens to the show or reads the blog knows, I'm more of a DC guy. So, it's kind of a weird situation for me to be going, yeah, the Avengers, that's the best superhero movie I've ever seen, or it's going to beat Batman big time, or it's just with everything going on with the previous films, and now we get this great superhero movie out of the Avengers. I'm just really excited about that. Plus, like I said, Joss Whedon was involved, and I love that it was such a success for him and for everybody else involved with it. So, but that's just impressive. Almost $1.4 billion for a movie. That's just crazy.
Well, and that goes to show you that the superhero film is not going away anytime soon. There's been, there had been some talk when the Superman movie came out and some other ones that have not performed well. And there was a lot of articles talking about, the age of the superhero movie is over. It's all done. Hollywood's going to give up on it. Green Lantern sucks. Green Lantern. And we'll talk about Green Lantern another time, mister. But,
hey, I didn't think I was as bad as a lot of people did. I actually enjoyed that movie.
Well, I don't want to get too far into that too. I enjoyed aspects of it. I thought they made some poor choices, a lot of poor choices. But yeah, there was a lot of talk about how the superhero movie, it's done, and this thing it just goes to show you, if you do it right, if you really, if you take care of the story, make the story interesting, along with all of the amazing visuals, then yeah, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. You just got to take care of it,
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of taking care of it, so we have all these great. You and I and all the people probably listening to this show know, these are great characters to begin with, from the Marvel comics themselves.
Absolutely.
You got Tony Stark as Iron Man, Steve Rogers as Captain America, maybe not so much Hawkeye, but
Are you kidding me?
I'm kidding.
Don't mess with my Hawkeye.
I
man.
know. And speaking of that, so I have to say, this is probably the best depiction I have ever encountered. I'll say, because I've read a lot of stories involving Black Widow. But this is the first time I think she's been in a few of the cartoons over the years. But now you get her in live action here. That's probably the best depiction of the Black Widow I've ever encountered. It was her in the Avengers movie. I really enjoyed that character.
Oh, I did too. Iron Man 2, she wasn't given a lot.
No. She was the pretty kick-ass woman for a few scenes, and that's pretty much it.
Well, and it was trying to tie it into the next movie.
Yeah.
We had to see her in that before we could have her in the Avengers. So there's got to be some kind of a touch on that. But she was fantastic in this movie. Just her skill set. It wasn't just about being hot and being hand-to-hand combat kind of thing. It was the spy aspect, the acting aspect of what her character would do in the field, and her interaction with Loki. Um,
Oh yeah, that was one of the best scenes of the movie.
it was great. Where you kind of felt like, oh wow, she is being affected. She really is kind of losing it here a little bit, and then boom, she flips a switch, and you really kind of get a feel for what she's all about.
Oh, and I should interject here just in case, now that we're quite a few minutes into this, that we may discuss things that may be of a spoilery nature. So just be warned if you haven't seen the Avengers, and I'm thinking, why the hell not?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Been a
better
month.
you better go watch it and then come back to this.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, all these great characters. I really enjoyed Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. That was a big surprise to me too, because
Yeah.
I'm really not familiar with Ruffalo's work, and so to me he's just this some actor coming in to play this role, and I was really surprised how well he portrayed that character. It was a really good depiction of Bruce Banner, and one that I really would like to see again.
Does that mean you want to see another Hulk movie?
If it's with Ruffalo, yeah, probably.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did you see the oh gosh, what's his name? His name is blanking here. The Incredible Hulk movie. Ed Norton.
Yeah, love him.
Did you enjoy that movie though?
I did much more than the first one.
Yeah, the Ang Lee movie. Yeah.
Not saying that the Ang Lee movie didn't do some good things. It did, but there were some horrible missteps that just ruined the whole thing for me. Hulk dogs being one, and
Hulk
and
dogs. Yeah.
yeah, I mean nothing cooler than a giant Hulk poodle, for God's sake, and then the exchange with Nick Nolte at the end was just stupid. But there was some good things to it. The Ed Norton version, I thought, above and beyond the Ang Lee, it was a good step. But I wouldn't give it an A.
No.
He seemed a bit more tortured, I think, than the Ruffalo version. Ruffalo seemed just kind of cool. He was.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't the tortured. I'm afraid of becoming the beast like the Ed Norton character was. Ed Norton was like extremely, really, really freaked out about becoming this, the Hulk. So, Ruffalo just seemed kind of like he was just kind of calm and cool.
Yeah, but to be fair, Norton had a 2-hour movie more or less to show us these things, as opposed to Ruffalo, who had, I don't know how many minutes he was on screen, but so in other words, they didn't have time to really focus on that with him, I think.
Yeah. Well, how did you feel about there was, granted, I think the Hulk was one of the best things in the show. I really do. I think that they got him really, really well, but there were some inconsistencies. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, totally. I liked the Hulk scenes, and especially there's a couple there in particular. I think we can talk about those as we come to them.
Okay.
But yeah, there was one particular, the Avengers was a great movie, like we both said, but it wasn't without its issues. And there was one involving, in particular, the Hulk, that I thought was just a glaring oversight to the overall film. So, and to the point where my daughter, who does not read comics, but she goes to see all the superhero movies with me. It's just been kind of our thing over the years. That was the first thing that she turned to me and said, and when we started talking about the film and what we liked, what we didn't like, that was the one thing that she talked about. So, and that is there, so there he's there on the helicarrier, and that's when and here we go into the spoilers, people. When Hawkeye, the possessed Hawkeye, blows up the engine, and they start invading the helicarrier. Anyway, you got Black Widow in there with Banner, and he loses control and turns into the Hulk, and then goes after her. Starts wreaking havoc in the helicarrier, which was the plan, Loki's plan in the first place.
Right.
So, from that perspective, that fits. The problem is when you get to the end where Hulk shows up, and I'm sorry, when Banner shows up, um, in the city when everybody's fighting the invading army, and they want him to Hulk out and help out, and like somebody says, I can't remember which character says it to him, but shouldn't you start to get angry now? And he says that line about that's my secret. I'm always angry, and then he just turns to the Hulk and starts going all Hulk on Hulk smash on the alien army. And so my daughter turns to me at, we're talking about these two scenes. She says, well, then how come he couldn't control it earlier?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or apparently control it, and because there does seem to be a certain amount of control there, as we're shown later. But before it's like he just goes crazy and starts smashing stuff. So yeah, that bothered me. That's probably the biggest thing that bothered me. What about you? Were there any we're talking about how much we love the movie in general, but is there anything in the movie that besides that you didn't particularly care for or thought they should have done a better job at?
well, yeah, that Hulk scene with that we were just talking about. It's funny, and I'm glad that I went to see it again because I'm such a comic fan and comic movie fan that seeing them brought to life the first go around, sometimes I'm just so excited about it that I can't have a fair judgment.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when he turned around, he said, "Well, I'm always angry," hulked out, and punched that thing. Even though right then I knew, well, that doesn't make any sense. I was so pumped up for it, I didn't care.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. I was the same way.
Watching the second go around, it was like, all right, and I knew it. I knew it was totally inconsistent in that aspect. But okay, what I didn't like? Cap's suit.
This from the artist visual guy.
Yeah.
So what didn't you like about it?
It just had kind of the cheesy 70s superhero outfit look to it.
Yeah.
It didn't the Captain America movie, I liked the outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the outfit worked. I don't know what it was. It had a more of a utilitarian look to it, a practical, even though it was star-spangled and all that, it had a more practical kind of look to the outfit in the Captain America movie than it did in the Avengers movie. The Avengers movie had more of a, like, wow, we spent all our money on the other stuff, let's put together a Cap suit. The big star, the big 3D star, didn't work for me. And I know they add textures to different suits. Spider-Man's suit has different textures, Superman's, whatever, to get something more than just a bare blue field. Mm-hmm. And that's what that had, was just a bare blue field. It needed the chainmail that Cap's suit has, or something extra than looking like a big spandex outfit. And the helmet. There were scenes where he was running around, kind of looking into things, getting into cases, and he had the hood pulled back. And then, of course, when he has the hood on, it's more of a shell, more of a hard thing, mm-hmm. which, I'm fine with, but it didn't look like it was consistent. Either have it on or have it off, but it looked like it was just kind of material when it's pulled back, and then it didn't look right.
Yeah. I remember thinking that too. It was inconsistent.
And another thing about Cap, I loved the Captain America movie. I thought it was one of the best ones of these little, get to know you kind of movies before we have the Avengers. But, and I'm not saying Chris Evans didn't do a good job, but Chris Evans is already Johnny Storm. And I have a problem with that.
He's not anymore, man. He is Steve Rogers.
I know, but I have a problem with it. I just do. I don't want to see. If I want to see Superman, then I want to see that guy is Superman. Or if I want to see that guy is Batman. I don't want the same guy to play Batman and play Green Lantern and play Aquaman. I don't want that. And the Fantastic Four movies had their problems, yes, but he played a great Johnny Storm.
He did.
he was the best thing about those movies. The attitude, the cockiness, the whole thing. He
Well,
embodied Johnny Storm. You know,
I wouldn't say he was the best thing about those movies.
well, about the characterization, the
Oh,
person playing them.
okay.
I thought he was the guy who played Doctor Doom. No, the
Yeah.
guy who played the Thing. The guy who played Reed, Sue. Come on, you know.
Yeah, but she looks so pretty.
Oh, she's hot, but she looked hot in the first one, but she looked bizarre in the second one. You know, the huge contacts they put in her eyes, the horrible bleach job on her hair, all
No,
that
that's
stuff
yeah, yeah, that's
was
true.
terrible. So
What?
characterization
Yeah, you're
wise,
right.
he was
Characterization.
the best thing in the Fantastic Four movies for characterization. So now you put him into a Captain America outfit, which granted, he was great in the movie. He was great in the Avengers. I love the fact that he kind of got that whole leadership thing by the end, where he started, I
Hmm.
need you here, I need you here, and I
Oh,
thought he did well with all that.
yeah, that scene where he's there, the cops are there, and they're like, "What do we do?" And he shows up and starts ordering them around, and
Yes.
and and then one of the cops says, "Why should we listen to you?" And then he, fights off one of the bad guys, and the cop just like, "Okay, go do this and do this and do this." That was pretty
That
cool.
it was great. Yeah, he demonstrated why he should be in charge. And but listening to him say things like "Okay, son," like he was this old guy, it just didn't work. That part didn't
Oh,
work
you
for me.
see, I like that because he is an old guy. He is an old, for lack of a better word, he's an old soul, and
Yeah,
I can get that. But you're right. I think it would have worked better had another actor who is a little bit older,
yeah.
um, saying that line. I agree with that for sure. But I also liked it. In the converse, I liked it, because of he's a man out of time,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
makes a certain amount of sense to me.
And this man out of time thing, the fact that I understand that reference, the flying monkeys. I thought that was that was good. That was
Yeah,
good. It's like because everything else is just blowing past him, and this one, oh, finally I get one. And he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
yay,
you felt bad for him, and it was a funny line too, and it was a nice break in the dramatic moment, which of course is a Joss Whedon staple. He's always trying to undercut the drama with a bit of humor. So it's kind of like his fingerprint.
It was great. He did so well with that, and I think that's part of what made this thing so popular. Is it's got a lot of really good funny moments, not cornball,
Hmm.
not you know I mean, there's a lot of superhero movies that I've watched, and then all of a sudden comes that one line where you just go, "Oh, you just blew it."
Well,
You-
like all the Schwarzenegger movies where he turns and gives that one-liner thing. It's kind of like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Well, I mean, in the sense of the cheesiness of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And well, let's talk about the humor, the humor stuff. Did you feel that any of the comedic moments was cheesy or over the top in any way?
No, because most of it came from Stark, and Stark is, his character is got that whole smart ass kind of thing, and Robert Downey
Yeah.
Jr. is so
Oh
good.
God, is he?
He is so good that
Like you were talking about with oh God, what the guy who played Cap,
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Thank you. Like Chris Evans was he did so great as Johnny Storm. Well, same thing with Robert Downey. I mean, it's like it
Hmm.
was almost a lot of people have been saying this ever since Iron Man came out. It's like he was born to play that role, whatever. But he does an excellent job at playing Tony Stark. It's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I was laughing, and there's a lot of in jokes that I get that my wife, and she's such a great, she's supportive. She goes to things, watches these things with me, and there's a lot of in lines that I get that she doesn't.
Hmm.
But she's laughing along with some of this stuff too, because the way that these were written, they were you didn't have to be you didn't have to read,
Oh no.
10 years of comics to get the joke, like the line that hey, Point Break, no offense, I'm a big fan of the big green rage monster you turn into, all
Oh
of those
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. He delivers them so well and so believable that anybody else that's trying to push these things might feel cornball, but it just comes out of him naturally. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. But so besides the Stark snark, um, uh, what were some of your favorite funny moments of the film?
Oh, you kidding? The Hulk, man. Uh, Sucker punching Thor when they're standing there.
That was awesome.
It was fantastic because you didn't. It came out of nowhere. They got they got done fighting or beating up some bad guys, and they're just standing there, and all of a sudden out of nowhere that big left fist just pops them across the screen. It's fantastic.
If I had soda or popcorn in my mouth at that time, I just would have blew it all over the person in front of me.
Right.
I laughed so hard at that one.
And the the smash and Loki.
Oh God. One of the best parts of the film.
Absolutely. The Hulk was so good in this thing. And that's why I don't think I want to see a Hulk movie. I think he's better.
Oh yeah.
Without being the center of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Devoting an entire movie to him, I don't think, and Ruffalo was signed on to be, from what I understand, something like a 6-movie deal. It could be Avengers, could be Hulk, whatever, but they have the option of picking him up for 6 movies. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see another Hulk movie, and I may eat this later, and they may make a great one, and I'll say, oh, well, I was totally wrong.
Yeah.
But I think he's better as an add-on, as not an add-on, but an ensemble character,
Mm-hmm.
But when he grabbed Loki and because Loki was throwing this bravado out that you can't screw with me, I'm a god, and Ben just beat the crap out of him and then walked off going puny god. It was like, oh, that's fantastic.
Oh my God, that was so. And so the first time that my family and I went to see the movie, they totally missed that line because everybody in the theater was laughing so hard at what Hulk was doing, and fortunately, I heard it, which is weird because usually I'm the one that's going, what did they say? Because I'm getting old and my ears don't work as well as they used to. But I caught that line. Plus, I know the Hulk, so I knew he was going to say puny something. So I was kind of anticipating it anyway, but it was still funny as hell. So I told them what Hulk said, and this is afterwards, after we're out of the theater and driving home talking about it, and they just started laughing.
Well, it's a classic line, puny whatever, from the Hulk. So I'm glad that they tied it in somehow, and it was so appropriate, so good. And the fact that after he walked off, Loki's just half buried in the floor, just wheezing. Like, holy crap.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
Maybe I should rethink this,
See, yeah, it's been almost a month since I first saw this movie, and I'm still excited and laughing about it, like almost as if I'm watching it again. It was so good that way.
Well, what did you think of? Well, we talked about Hawkeye briefly, and you said you had a little smart comment there. What did you? I thought that the use of Hawkeye, the fact that when the beginning of the movie when they talk about he's up in his perch, and then the fact that they used him up on top of the buildings later as kind of
that was great.
And I thought it added something to the character. It was he's a strategic player in the offensive defensive aspect of the Avengers that most people wouldn't think about. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my only complaint about Hawkeye is that we didn't get to see him enough. One, because I think he had, because I read this too. I can't remember the website now or the particular details, but I read an article that talked about how many minutes each character was on the screen for the movie. And I'm gonna try and find that as we talk. But I do remember that Hawkeye had the least amount of screen time for the movie. So I was kind of sad about that because I wanted to see more of this character because we saw him first in Thor.
Yeah. Very briefly again.
Yeah. And so I was kind of excited to see because I love Hawkeye in general. I love the character, the fact, if you know his history, how he started out and how he's progressed through the years. Although they seem to be redoing that whole redemption thing. I started out as sort of a bad guy, but I became a good guy, and and him trying to prove himself to Captain America. They seem to keep doing that over and over, but that's comics. It's
Yeah.
cyclical. I
Yep.
understand that, but anyway, so you see this new interpretation of Hawkeye. I suck at remembering the actors' names now. I should be looking at that. Jeremy Renner. Thank you. Jeez. See, I'm going to scroll down here on my the web page and look at this stuff so I don't sound like an idiot. but I like Renner's interpretation of the character. But the problem with that is that he spent the majority of the film, under the influence of Loki.
Yeah.
Not being who he really is. And so I felt kind of bad about that, and I would have liked to have seen the inverse of that. But maybe that's the next movie. We get to see a lot more Hawkeye.
Well, but think about it this way: he was a bad guy in the comics.
Well, that's true. There you go. It does fit.
So,
You're right.
In Avengers, he was a bad guy in the beginning and a good guy in the end, just like he is in the comics.
I actually hadn't thought of that, so that's great.
And again, it's just me geeking out on this, but when he's up on the building, he's not even looking where he's firing, and he takes somebody out. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way they also had figured out, because for years, Hawkeye, he's had these little these straps that go down his chest, that form the H, and
oh, right.
The arrowheads were located in these little pockets. I love the fact that they have come out with a more, just a way of how the arrows rotate and whatever tip attaches to it. The little control on his bow that he could, select whatever arrow tip, make them explode, whatever. I thought it was a more practical way, a more believable way than, I'm going to pull a tip out of my pocket, attach it to an arrow, take all this time before I can fire.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I thought the way that they figured that out and made it look was really good. And just even the little bits, where he's going to fire on the shield character or carrier, and he's got to adjust for wind, so he fires it way off to the side, and it arcs around and pops in. It's believable. It's, you wouldn't fire directly at this thing. You would have to arc it around, which is amazing. And even the little things like when he's going to short out one of the turbines and he fires it down, these little plugs pop into the little electrical circuit and short out the screens or whatever. All of that I thought was great. And I'm a Hawkeye fan, so any of that stuff was cool for me. The only thing, and I know it was so difficult to not make it look cheesy, but I love Hawkeye's outfit. And I wish they could incorporate a little more of that in,
Yeah. Well, you're not going to see that for a while in the comics because they're redoing Hawkeye in the image of the film version.
Oh yeah, of course.
So which still looks cool, but it's not it's not our Hawkeye from the comics that we're familiar with.
Sure. Yeah.
So I did find that screen time thing. So I wanted to pop quiz, Greg. I already revealed that Hawkeye got the least amount of screen time at 12 minutes and 44 seconds.
Okay.
Who do you think got the most?
Iron Man.
You would be wrong.
Black Widow.
You would be wrong.
Agent Coulson.
Agent Coulson. Oh, we got to talk about him. No, Captain America.
Cap, all right.
37 minutes, 42 seconds. Iron Man was number 2 at 37 minutes and 1 second. Number 3 was Black Widow at 33 minutes and 35 seconds. Bruce Banner got 28 minutes and 3 seconds, and Thor 25:52.
Okay.
So yeah, I was really surprised at that when I saw Cap was number 1 and that Black Widow was number 3. So that's plus the fact that Banner Hulk got more screen time than Thor. So that's the one major character we haven't talked about. Thor, no, it's not. There's a couple more, but that's the major superhero character. So, what do you think of Thor in this movie? Chris Hemsworth doing that.
I like Hemsworth. I do. I think he. I loved it. I thought the Thor movie was pretty good. I wouldn't give it. I wouldn't give it an A. But I thought it was good. I thought when I saw the costumes when Thor was coming out and I saw screenshots.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh my God, this is gonna
Uh-huh.
tank.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get into it and it sucks you in and you buy it.
Oh yeah.
Uh, because it's another world. It's a, it's a Asgard, a magical world, that kind of thing. You pull it in and it pulls you in, and you buy it. And granted, his transfer to Earth, there were some problems, but I thought he was good in this movie. I thought when he arrived on the wing and zipped in and took Loki out, and that whole fight scene between him and Cap and Iron Man was amazing. I thought that was so good. Um, as far as, he didn't have a whole lot of lines.
No, he didn't.
He was much more of the I'm going to pose and flex and beat some stuff up
And occasionally throw out one-liners like he's adopted.
that was good. That was fun.
I laughed at that one, but at
Yep.
the same time, I thought it seems a little out of character for this otherworldly, quote unquote Norse god to say
Yeah.
something like that. But it was still funny.
It was funny. It was funny. And the "you're all so petty," that line that he threw out, that
Yeah,
and tiny, that
that's right.
you know
Forgot about that one. That was really good too.
I thought he pulled it off. I think he's
Oh
a
yeah.
good. I really think he was a good character, or a good person to stick in that role. I thought he pulled it off well.
And watching Hemsworth in the Thor movie and now in Avengers, which I think he did. I thought in some ways he did a much better job in the Avengers as that character. But especially in the scenes where he's talking to Loki, and he's imploring his brother to stop doing these bad things, and they call it acting for a reason, right? Because I bought that totally. I got sucked in when Hemsworth was delivering those lines to Loki, because it's just like, yeah, this is a guy who loves his brother even though he's done all these horrible things, and he wants to help save his brother. And
Yeah, just
so
come home, that kind of thing.
yeah, provided some emotional depth there that this movie was a little lacking in. But it was get all these people together and fight some alien invaders movie, with some great characterization thrown in. So there's not a lot of time for a lot of deep drama stuff, but I
Well, and
really,
that's you were talking about Batman. That's the difference. With Avengers is definitely a popcorn, let's get excited and go beat the bad guy kind of movie, and the Batman stuff, there's a lot more angst and torture and drama in there.
hmm
So it's just like, that's what I mean by apples and oranges. They're just different types of movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you mentioned Agent Coulson earlier, and I
Yes.
wanted to ask you about that because we've seen the Coulson character since Iron Man, the first Iron
Yep.
Man movie. He's been in little bits, and then you get a lot more of him here. What do you think of Coulson in general as a character?
I like the character a lot. I found like we got a better look into who he was with the whole fawning over Captain America thing. Because at first it was all just basically, I'm all about business, which you're high officer in the Shield ranks, whatever, you got to be about business. But I thought it was an extra little flavor on the fact that he was just so gaga over seeing Captain America live and in the flesh. I thought that was interesting.
hmm Yeah.
And I didn't want to see him go, but you needed something to happen that was concrete. And, just like they talked about in the movies, they needed a push. Well, they did, story wise, somebody had to buy it. And you couldn't have, who else were they going to kill that really mattered to anybody? So,
Well, and matter not just to the characters, but matter to the audience, especially those who have been watching Coulson throughout all these other movies. You got to have someone you got to have somebody in the film that the audience is like, oh no, not him, right? And so who would that be? Well, he's the only choice, really.
absolutely, because they have the actress from How I Met Your Mother, which was the other,
Oh,
female
Kobe Smulders.
Shield agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maria Hill. Yeah.
Which I like her, glad to see her in there, but nobody would have cared if she
No.
died because she just got introduced.
No,
So
that's right.
it wouldn't have been a big deal. Coulson was the only one that could go. if they wanted to keep the movies going. I mean, what are they going to kill? Nick Fury? I mean,
No.
come on.
No, they're not going to do that. Uh, yeah. So, and the reason I ask you that is because I love Coulson too. Ever since I saw him from the first, like, who's this guy? What's his story, and why does he keep showing up? And it was a nice bridge between all the movies, and then you get to the end here, and you start to care for this character. He's funny, and people like him, and then he gets killed, and providing that push, like you said. But I had read a few things online. Of course, there's always people out there like this, but like they hate Coulson, and they didn't care that they killed him off, and it was all like, really, come on, this was a really interesting character, and you're just blowing him off like he's nothing. He should never have been in the film. That's just silly.
Well, people are going to hate for no reason.
I know. Yes.
I don't know, I thought he added a lot. It was a link between all the different characters and the different movies.
Right.
Not just Nick Fury and Fury is too tough. Coulson had kind of a softer side to him, and they needed a little bit of that in there. Because if the super badass gets hurt or dies or whatever, you don't feel as much as you do for the guy that had some humanity. So sad to see him go, but he had to go.
Yeah, the next movie, we won't see him. That'll be bad, sad and bad, but like it's understandable. You gotta kill off somebody. And actually, that's I don't know how familiar you are with Joss Whedon's work, but he does that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Did you see Serenity?
Oh yeah, sure.
So again, spoilers here, people. If you haven't seen a movie that came out in 2005, when Wash dies.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you get Shepherd Book dying, and then that towards the end there you get Wash getting impaled like that. That was like a holy crap moment.
Yeah. Right.
So same thing here. Whedon always tries to provide that bit of drama, that bit of push for the characters, and of course Coulson had to go. So, which is too bad. Like I said, you mentioned the actress from How I Met Your Mother, Kobe Smulders,
yes.
playing Maria Hill. She, for a sort of, more or less a background character, I enjoyed her screen time. I thought she was a nice counterpoint to Coulson and sort of a not right hand man, but an assistant. I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way, but an assistant to Nick Fury. So I hope we actually see her more in the next one, and I'm sure we will.
I would think we would, and they gotta have. That's one of the greatest things about this movie was they had some strong female characters too. And I mean these superhero shows, which, am I gonna go watch an Iron Man movie over a Wasp movie? Yeah, probably, but they need to have some good female strong characters, and I thought that Widow was amazing. I think that on a lesser scale, this Shield agent, I thought she was good, a good addition.
Did you know that? For the agents on the show, they were trained. They brought people in, they brought consultants in and trained them. But Smulders didn't have a big enough role, so they didn't do that for her. But she hired a trainer to, as it says here, to teach me how to hold a gun, take me to a shooting range, how to hit, how to hold myself, how to walk, and basically how to look. But so she mentions how she doesn't do a ton of fighting in the movie, which is why she wasn't offered a trainer. But I wanted to look like I had the ability to do it. So I thought that was pretty cool that she did that.
That is cool. That's dedication to your craft right there,
And will pay off, of course, in the next movie too. Because I'm predicting that she'll have a much bigger role in the next one.
Well, and I think that she's smart enough to know that How I Met Your Mother's been on for a long time, and this thing's going to go down fairly soon. So
that's true.
The better you are in this is your shot to shine. So make it make it everything you can, and this may pay dividends later down the road. You may you may get some stuff out of this.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was her. That was that it was that actress from that show. until after I'd seen the movie and I started reading up on the movie, because before it's like I don't want to know anything, I don't want to hear anything, I don't want any spoilers. I wasn't quite successful at that. I did hear a few things, or read a few things online that I didn't intend to. So I didn't want to know anything about this film whatsoever. So I tried to stay away from that. And then, I see her, I'm like, who is that? She's pretty cool. And then I found out it was her. So.
Well, I watch How I Met Your Mother, so I knew who it was. But what's funny is you read the spoilers. Go back and read the spoilers now. A lot of them are wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, completely like off. Like this guy's gonna fight this guy, and this is gonna happen here, and it just makes me wonder, like, all right, where did your spoilers come from? Because they're just completely out of, they're way, way off. But yeah, in preparation for doing this kind of thing, I read some of the old spoilers, and they're just way off base.
Well, that's good.
Now, let me ask you this: what did you think of Nick Fury?
Nick Fury, huh? Well, in terms of what he does in the movie, or just him as the character that we've seen across several movies.
Well, both. I mean, because I love Sam Jackson.
Yes.
But he's in everything.
Yeah. Well, I like Jackson doing that role, and of course, I don't know if you know this, but the Ultimate line of comics that Marvel puts out.
Yeah, I have some.
So they when they brought out the Nick Fury, the Ultimate Nick Fury, it was designed on Samuel Jackson.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so having him come back now, it's kind of a bit of metafiction. Having him come and portray Nick Fury in the movie. So I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
He's okay. Nick Fury is okay in this. What I missed about Nick Fury, what I know of the character in the comics, is that he doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of leading and planning. He does a lot of reactionary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, in the film they talk about this where, ever since the Thor thing happened, where, oh my God, there are aliens that can come to Earth, and, the Destroyer and all that stuff. And they talk about that. They start developing these weapons to use against these gods, more or less, in case they have to. Right? Yep. So basically, the way I see Nick Fury in the Avengers, at least, is that here's a guy who's desperately trying to hold on to these threads and keep everything together, and it's unraveling as he's trying, and he's just doing the best he can, which is okay, as a characterization, but it's not the Nick Fury that I wanted to see in the movie. So I was kind of disappointed about that. Just very, very, very little. It was okay.
Yeah, I just feel like he's one of the least fleshed out characters,
Oh yeah, he's the brooding. Things are going to be really crappy really soon. I'm trying to get you guys together to take care of it. Character.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed his cameos in the other movies, and that kind of.
In fact, I think he works better as doing those cameos as more or what am I saying? So he does better. As the cameos that he did, as opposed to the character we get in the movie, because there's, as you said, there's not a whole lot there for him, to him, and so we just kind of see more of the same.
Yeah, I would agree, and with all of these characters, it's tough to get screen time for everybody and develop whatever, but and Nick is kind of the almost like not shadowy figure, but the one that looms in the background, manipulating or orchestrating or whatever. But I thought he was, like you said, I think he was okay. It wasn't, it wouldn't be one of the ones that I said was a big deal in the show,
No.
and I like Sam Jackson a lot. But I would say the same for Mace Windu. Sorry, guys. Star Wars reference.
Yeah, I think that wasn't Mace Windu. It was like basically Sam Jackson begging to be in a Star Wars film, and what's his name relented and said, "Okay, you can have this character."
Something like that. Yeah. I'm gonna have a purple lightsaber because nobody has a purple one.
Yeah, what, and actually, wasn't that him? Wasn't that Sam Jackson saying, "I want a different colored saber"? I seem to
Yep,
remember
it
reading
was
something
him.
about that.
He asked for purple.
Did he? It was specifically purple.
I think so,
Okay, there's
which
nothing
is
wrong with
fine.
that.
Nothing wrong with purple. But I just thought Mace Windu's character just felt like, whatever.
Well, that pretty much describes my feelings about the prequel Star Wars movies in general. So,
We're way off track.
yeah. All right, let's bring it back.
All right.
Let's see. So we talked about some of the major things. I think I don't want to get too much into the plot or anything. Let's talk about the end of the movie,
Okay.
specifically the two scenes at the end of the movie, at the very end.
Oh, the bonus
The
stuff.
bonus scene, yeah, more or less the bonus scenes, yeah. So let's
Okay.
talk about the
Yeah.
second one first, and then let's talk about the first one next.
Shawarma.
Shawarma. That was so funny. And
Yeah.
again, people are gonna get tired of me saying this, but again, it's a Joss Whedon moment, really.
Yep.
Tony's like, hey, when he's on the ground and his suit's all fried after he basically saves the world, let's go get some shawarma, and then they do.
Yeah. And I love the fact that nobody says a word.
Nothing at
They
all.
just all they do is let it speak for itself. I think it was amazing. It was so funny, and I, and they lingered. The fact that they just lingered on it, it was almost like you're looking in on this thing, and you felt like I'm a voyeur, and
Yeah,
I shouldn't be looking. This is lingering too long.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. And at one point, I swear to God that Mark Ruffalo is about to lose it. There's one point where
Oh
he's taken some bites of food, and I swear to God he's about ready to smile and just break down. But then it keeps going.
yeah, yeah. Just seeing Thor in a shawarma.
Yeah,
You know, there's a demigod sitting at a little plastic table, little plastic chair. Just too funny, man. Just I thought it was great, and yeah, I love that stuff. I think Marvel has done so well with those kind of little things at the end. I look forward to the end. And there's it's become common knowledge that you don't leave early on a Marvel movie. You
hmm
credits roll, you stick till the lights come on in the theater. But I love that stuff. I look forward to that stuff.
yeah, yeah. So that was a delight. In fact, I have to give credit to my wife because uh, I was ready to go because they already showed me the post credit scene.
Yep.
With the next thing we're going to talk about, and so I'm like, okay, we can go now. And she's like, no, we're going to stay till the end. And it's a good thing we did. I'm like, well, there's because again, I did not. I was avoiding all knowledge of this movie as much as I possibly could, and so I didn't know if there was going to be a final scene. And so when we got the first scene that we got, I'm like, okay, well, that's the thing.
Oh
That's
no, man, you
that's the
never
thing.
leave early.
Well, yeah, well,
Never.
yeah. Now I never will. But it's like so she's like, no, there might be something else. I'm like, I don't think so. That we saw the scene, and so but we stayed, and then we get the shawarma scene. So I was like, yes, thank you very much, my wife. So, but you know what? The problem with that now is, and I'm getting off track a little bit too, but she now stays to the end of the credits for every movie, not just
Oh
not just
no.
Marvel movies, but every
Oh
movie.
no. So some romantic comedy with
Yeah, yeah,
Ben Affleck. She's gonna stick to the end.
that's right. There might be something there.
Oh my God.
Um, and you know what? And also, what the hell is shawarma? I had no idea what this was, so until this movie came out. So I wonder how much money shawarma restaurants have made since they since this movie came out. Because
I wasn't sure if it really existed or not.
yeah, me too. But yeah, it does.
Hmm.
It's interesting looking. I'd
Maybe
like to try
Whedon.
it.
Maybe Whedon. That's one of his favorite places to eat.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the I think the more important scene of the two. The first post-credit scene where
Yes.
so during the film you got this one guy. He's kind of, I don't know, how would you describe that one guy that talks to Loki? Um,
Uh,
is
I
it,
would say he's kind of like a right-hand man, priest-looking,
yeah, okay, yeah, okay,
evil alien type guy.
yeah. I mean, but how would you describe his face? Because he kind of looks like he's, I don't know, kind of like his bones are on the outside of his face, or is that a
Yeah,
mask, or I
he
wasn't
looked.
sure.
Well, it looked like a ceremonial mask over a
Oh yeah,
somewhat skeletal face,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
somewhat,
Hmm.
but it looked like some kind of ceremony. That's why I say priest-like, is because he looks like some kind of emissary, like it was a oh, the outfit was he was wearing was like due to his position or something.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like a bishop
Right,
to a
exactly.
pope or something. Yeah, something like that. I'm probably just totally screwing up that analogy, but um, yeah, I guess he's referred to as the other, I suppose.
Okay.
I'm looking at Wikipedia, so who knows if that's actually correct. But so yeah, so then the other at the end of this first post credit scene, this bishop guy or whatever, um, is talking to his master, and then we get that reveal. So the guy turns his face and just smiles, and it is
Well, Thanos.
yes.
Did you
And
know?
no, I had no idea.
Oh, I knew it instantly, man.
Oh no, I thought you meant did I know it beforehand? No, I
No, I
did
mean
not know that.
when he turned to look, did you know
Oh,
who it
oh
was?
God, yes. I about crap my pants when I saw it. If I may get crass. Um, oh my God, I was just I turned into the nearly comatose squealing fanboy when
Right.
I saw. I'm like, oh my God, it's Thanos! And I turned to my family sitting beside me. I'm like, oh my God, it's Thanos! And and they're like, who's Thanos?
Yeah, right. My cousin, who he knows I'm a big fan. He took his kids to the show, and they all called me, and they saw it before I did, and they all called me and go, "Oh, who's the guy at the end?" I said, "I haven't seen it yet.
Oh no!
Don't tell me a thing. I haven't seen it because I'd been doing the same thing you had. I wasn't able to see it on opening night, and I was avoiding any kind of contact with anybody that had seen the show, and there was all kinds of posts and whatnot that I would see something and I would scroll past it because I didn't want to see. So yeah, after I went and saw the show, I informed them on all of the Thanos kind of stuff. But yeah, so I knew instantly who it was.
Can you imagine what the second movie? I mean, if they continue to use Thanos, what? Oh my God, I can't even imagine what that movie would be like.
Well, they're going to bring in the Infinity Gauntlet and all that.
They'd have to. It just the scope of it, the I'm freaking out here just thinking about it, Greg. Just how cool. I mean, how cool was it we see the Avengers first of all in this first movie, but to bring Thanos and all that implies in the
How,
second movie, it's like, oh my God.
and then how big is the third movie going to have to be to include?
I know it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. I mean, after Thanos, what could they do that would be bigger than that in the Marvel
uh,
universe?
well, they're going to have to pull in Ultron.
Oh my God, Greg, you just blew my mind.
Well, right. I mean, who
Yeah,
else?
that would be awesome.
Well, if they're going to pull in Ultron, of course they got to pull in the Pims, right?
Yes, yes, and there is talk of an Ant-Man movie in 2013 or 2014, something like that. I
Yeah,
guess.
I've heard about that. I'm on the fence, man. I don't know.
I have my doubts too, but then again, they pulled off Iron Man, they pulled off Thor, Captain America, now the Avengers. I don't know.
It's well, that's true. I don't want to poo-poo all over everything until it's done.
That's right.
But the idea of Ant-Man in his own feature, or Ant-Man slash Giant Man, whatever they want, or Yellow Jacket, or all the other things that he has been. Who knows? Who
God,
knows?
how confusing would that be if we actually saw all of the personas that Hank Pym has taken on over the years in a movie?
Right? No kidding. It's basically 2 hours of multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that would be an interesting take on the character. Um, so yeah, I can't imagine what this next one's gonna be like. It's gonna be epic in a fashion. I just hope it's a really good epic.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough to But hey, Batman Begins. I thought, how are they gonna top this? And they did. So you never know. Now, did you get the whole death reference?
Oh yeah.
Okay, just
Hmm.
want to make sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Figured you did.
And it being Thanos, if you know anything about the character, of course that's going to be part of it.
Right, right.
So yeah, what a great superhero movie, and how great is it, Greg, that we are living right now to experience this? Going back to where we started with this, where when we were kids in the fourth grade, reading Avengers comics and just fantasizing about how they could make, how cool would it be if they made a movie out of the Avengers, and then we get
Oh,
this.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, we used to geek out on this for, days and days and days about all this kind of stuff. And the advances, I go back and I watch, because, I get all these movies and watch them over and over again. You and I saw X-Men when it first came out. And you go back and watch X-Men that was, 12 years ago? And then the advances that they have made up until the Iron Man movie and just even the Hulk movies. Look at the first Hulk movie, the second one, and then how it was done in this one, and just anything you imagine can be done now to a level of believability that's just it's fantastic. Love it.
Well, speaking of the visual effects and the Hulk, there was something online. I can't remember where it was now. Again, I can't remember anything. But I saw a comparison between the special effects from the first Hulk movie, the second, and then the Hulk in this one.
Yes.
And of course, they all look different.
Yep.
Over time, not just the special effects. Because the first Hulk movie was at that time, of course, the best they could do. But once you do that comparison and do like a screenshot comparison of all three, it's obvious that the first movie suffers in comparison. But what did you think of the special? You're a visual guy, you're an artist yourself. What did you think of the special effects that they did in this movie, in general, or anything specific you'd like to talk about?
At first, when I was seeing the trailers with the Hulk, I wasn't. It's really, you only see that one, you see a couple of smashing, quick clips of him, in the air, we've got a Hulk, and, boom, into the building and smashing different things. And that one where, all the characters are there, and the camera circles around all of the Avengers as they're preparing for the battle.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hulk is there and kind of yelling and, or roaring or whatever. And, I wasn't as, at first I wasn't as thrilled by it just from the little scenes that I saw. I was kind of thinking, well, the second Hulk, he was a lot more ripped, which isn't necessarily right or wrong, but I thought the second Hulk was kind of cooler looking. Then I got to see the Avengers movie. Now, I like the fact that they actually used Ruffalo's face as part of their graphics this time, because they didn't, they had the little mocap dots and all that too, to see the expressions and use that as a base, for the expressions of the character. But this one actually looked like Ruffalo. Mm-hmm. You believe that he was inside this thing, and just the different skin textures. You could see like a sweat, and I'm consistently amazed at how far these guys go, and how realistic these things are. There were some scenes where the aliens are flying around, and there was some kind of like, the Black Widow was attached to him, and there was a couple scenes in there that you could see kind of, that one didn't really work. But generally, that you remember the old adage of the old Superman movie, will make you believe a man can fly.
Yeah.
Well, now you really believe it. You buy it. If nobody told me like, I don't know, someday there's gonna be an Iron Man suit, man. I'm telling you.
You mean one that you could actually get yourself? Is that what?
No, the government would have it or something like that. But it's in watching, I watch a lot of like behind the scenes kind of special effects, whatnot, and I remember they were talking about Iron Man, and Favreau was was discussing the fact that he didn't believe the reflections were, realistic on this Iron Man, that, this scene where, the camera is rolling around and goes, well, the reflections just aren't realistic. I don't want to use that. And the guy looks at him and goes, well, that's the real suit.
Oh, that's right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, and the fact that you're fooling the director, that the special effects are so good that he's thinking the suit, the actual practical real suit, is not looking good enough, and that that one looks cheesy or something. It's amazing that they're at that level where it used to be that the proof is in the picture, or the picture, nowadays, hell, you can fake anything. So I don't know. I'm happy to be living in a time where all of the stuff that I dreamed as a kid is popping up on the screen in front of me, where you just kind of go, like I said, I got to watch these things twice, because the first time I watched these things, I'm so giddy, for lack of a better word, that it's just all too exciting for me. I got to watch it the second time, calm down, and actually get a critical look.
Yep. Yeah, you just nailed it right there, Greg. What you said about seeing the stuff that we dreamed of as kids. It's amazing, and I think a good way to transition to our next topic. Unless you have anything else you want to say about the Avengers.
Well, that scene that I just talked about, where all the characters, it was in the trailer. Mm-hmm. All the characters are there with cameras spinning around them, and it's showing every character in their glory, getting ready for the big battle. And I know they couldn't do a whole lot, but did it feel a little weird that Black Widow, and all she could do was cock her pistol?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Iron Man landing with all his rockets, whatnot. The Hulk's there screaming. Hawkeye's pulling his bow back, and again, all he's got is a bow, but he looked freaking cool pulling that bow, that drawstring back, and Black Widow just kind of cocks this little tiny gun, and it felt like, oh, okay.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, then you go to the next scene or the next scenes, and she's doing some pretty awesome stuff.
Absolutely.
To the point where she hijacks one of the aliens' sky sleds and yep. Gets up to the top of Stark Tower and helps to figure out how they can close that portal. So she did some kick-ass stuff there.
Now let me ask you about this: the aliens that came down. Now they're riding their little sky cycles, which is cool. But those big eel snake-looking things was kind of reminiscent of Transformers in a way.
Yeah.
In a way. How did you feel about that?
Well, I didn't like that comparison. The fact that it felt like, it looked like they were kind of Transformer-esque. Yeah. I like the visual of this snake-like thing that is more or less a mechanical snake, for lack of a better word, as this transportation and destructive device. That's kind of a neat idea in itself. But I don't know. We didn't talk about the villains of the piece. The Chitauri, I think, is what they're called.
Yeah, they were going to go with the Skrulls, but Fox owns the Skrulls, so they couldn't use it.
Yeah, and what I was thinking, besides who owns what, that whole debacle, I just think that's silly. The company that created these things don't actually get to use them in the way that they want, but that's licensing for you. But what I thought was, instead of these new aliens, why can't they just use not necessarily Skrulls, which would be a great movie in itself. If they did like Secret Invasion as a movie. Yeah. That would be awesome. But they could do that over the course of some movies too. Introduce the idea in Iron Man 3 and anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But why not? Oh crap! The Kree. Why couldn't it have been the Kree instead?
Yeah. Well, maybe it's coming.
Yeah. But but the Chitauri work. I mean, they're the generic bad guys. Got the Avengers together. They stopped them. Day is saved. So I'm a lot more forgiving than some people that I've heard in other podcasts or read on their blogs. About this kind of thing. It was a good movie, regardless of some of its flaws. It was a good movie.
Yeah, it didn't bother me that they couldn't use the actual Skrulls. I mean, alien forces are alien forces. There's obviously differences, but these guys were a big enough threat that it felt like Um, they need something big against the Avengers. It
Oh,
can't be just one guy.
yes. Yeah.
Unless unless it's uh, Thanos. Whatever. But
You're
um,
right. You bring up a good point because that this movie I thought made while the generic bad guys seem to be dispatched pretty easily, one on one for the most part. Um, there were so many of them, and then you see the destruction of the city in the
yeah,
way that it's shown. It's like you do get that sense of impending doom that if we don't stop these guys, humanity's toast. And so you get that bigger than life dramatic effect from that. So I thought they did that very very well.
I did too. Now let me ask you this: who should be in the next Avengers movie?
Uh, as far as
Addition,
new characters coming in,
additional Avengers. Who should come in?
oh, I don't know. Who are they missing? Who are the big ones they're missing? Oh, the Vision. I like to see the Vision.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. The
Love
Vision.
the Vision.
Yep. Um, I think the Pims. Pims got to come in. Wasp.
Hmm. That would be
I
nice.
I I don't know about. I mean, they've got Hawkeye and they've got the Black Widow. So do they really need the Black Panther?
No. Although it'd still be. I mean, here's the thing. Eventually, maybe not the second movie, but maybe the third movie. We could have a scene or several scenes where you see more people like at Avengers Mansion or something along those lines, or Stark Tower or wherever it happens to be, where you actually see a lot of these characters in the background. Just to see them would be cool. Like
Kind of
Black.
like they used to do on, like Justice League Unlimited, the
Exactly.
cartoon.
Hmm.
Exactly, where you'd see characters walking through the background, it was like, and you could like pop and recognize, like, oh, I know that guy, I know that guy. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to see them, just even for a split second, would be kind of neat. What about you?
Well, and then you could throw in, well, like you could throw in like Scarlet Witch,
Mhm.
Quicksilver, um, all that kind of stuff. If they're just gonna kind of show up in the background, I think that would be cool.
Mhm.
Or kind of like they did with we talked about this a little bit, but that third X-Men film where they had a lot of additional characters, but they weren't in long. They were just kind of a here it is and then they're gone type thing.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know. I think for me, the Vision was the one that stood out as somebody that they need to add because I think they need to add at least some members. The
What about the Falcon?
I think it's going to be tough to pull off Wasp as a. They need another female though, man. Scarlet Witch,
Yeah.
Wasp. So
Hmm.
they got it. They need another female strong Avengers character.
Hmm.
So who are they going to pick? So
Speaking of female character, you know who I'd love to see in the Avengers movie, but they're not going to do it because it will, I think, confuse the 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 general audience.
what?
Spider-Woman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
That's a good. That's
I
a
say
good
that
one.
because I love the character. So
That's a good one. That's true. And you know what they need again is they've done such a good job of pulling all these different movies into this group and creating like a Marvel universe that I want to see. Um, I want to see Spider-Man swinging by in the background, just but something like that,
yeah,
where it doesn't have to be the big fight where Spider-Man would necessarily be called in to fight or any of the other Marvel characters would be called in, but the fact that Iron Man is up on top of a building having a donut and Spider-Man swings by in the background and he
hmm,
just notices it,
yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
I think would be awesome.
I think I read something online that basically some guy was saying that was, how cool would that be to show that, and how easy would that be for them to do that? But of course, they're not going to
Yeah,
do that because they have a Spider-Man movie coming out next month, so they're not going to throw in Spider-Man. I can't see them doing that in the Avengers just for that little, golly gee whiz moment.
that's a shame because it'd be just awesome.
Yeah, it would be. Oh, Spider-Man. So speaking of Spider-Man, let's transition into the next part of our talk. All right, that is our review of the Avengers movie. I'll just let the listeners know, Greg and I had a great conversation about what we were looking forward to as far as other superhero movies coming out, not to mention a lot of TV talk about Young Justice, the DC Nation, Avengers cartoons, and what we're looking forward to as far as the CW Arrow series. But unfortunately, due to technical difficulties on my end, you're not going to hear any of that. So, but Greg, it's been great talking with you.
Good talking with you.
As I was just telling Greg off mic, this is the first time I've had a major malfunction with the audio, so I'm going to go drink a beer and relax, I think.
Good idea.
before I lose my top. So be sure to visit Greg's website, toxiccotton.com. To take a look around, buy a shirt, look at the cool designs he has. You mentioned before on the outro that didn't get recorded, Greg, your Facebook, the Toxic Cotton Facebook page.
Yes.
And the Twitter feed. So people should go check that out for your Toxic Tune of the Day, if nothing else.
That's right. We can get the Toxic Tune of the Day on the Facebook page. You can get it through Twitter, and you can get it on the Toxic Cotton website. So
right. There you go.
Go ahead and like me on Facebook.
That's right, and you can also like the Longbox Review Facebook page if you like. Also, you can contact me at longboxreview@gmail.com for feedback. You can leave feedback at the blog as well. It's been great talking with you, Greg. I hope we will do this again, definitely.
Sounds good. I had a good time. Thanks.
Good, excellent. All right, that's the show. Thanks for listening.